Listen, for me, that's a Monday build. There's nothing special about this. I'm not excited at all. When you have to hold the ceiling, look at this. This thing is holding the ceiling. Okay, let's buy this. Let's pay $500,000 and let's just cut this trim because, well, it's in the way. Retail $675, she says. There'll be a trip to Red Bay. Does it come from underneath, from the frame up towards the floor? Maybe. But this is a project. I'm gonna call my buddy Ben, which is our customer, and to see where he fits with the level of project that he's willing to pick up.
Sellers were telling me one thing, they had told me about inspections they'd already had, and I can tell that the previous inspectors had not looked at the detail like these guys did. Because it's one thing if you want to buy a project and deal with the project, but it's another thing if you want to buy something that's safe, reliable, and going to be there for the journey and the adventure. It's easy for people to hide things from you or not tell you the details. I was kind of grateful because I'm like, it just showed me everything I didn't even know to even be asking questions about.
It's RV inspection recap day. It is the second quarter of 2024, and today we're going to recap a few of the Class A's that we did during this quarter. We're going to start with this 2021 Fleetwood Flare 35R.
Ben, my friend Ben from Australia, the mate from down under. Oh, and by the way, I want to state this. You will not believe this unit at the end, the last one we're going to have. You want to stick for that one. But first of all, I want to introduce my wife's doing. You know what our line is. It's not about the destination. It's all about the journey. So she came up with this, and we proudly carry it around, and we never forget about who we are. Back to Ben in Fleetwood Flare, 21. That's not that old. It was pretty dramatic how somebody's trying to hide something.
The smell when you walked into this unit immediately was paint, 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 paint. Everything was painted, from the cupboards to the walls to the floors to the toilet seat to the side of the shower. You name it, there was paint everywhere.
So if I would have worked in there, I would have been high as a kite. I wouldn't have even known what I'm doing. I think that's what happened with her, because you should have seen the pictures in the report. She showed me pictures of paint dripping in inside of cabinets. When you open the cabinet, the paint's dripping from the inside. Whoever did this sucked.
Should have hired a professional.
Well, that was the nice way of Lola presenting this.
If you're going to sell something, and if you really want to sell something, you've got to make it look professional at least.
Listen.
This was half-assed done.
It's like an inspection. She just said it. It could be half-assed done.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you don't know,
you're going to get what you don't want to get. You know, just going through on my floors, there was a rip in the linoleum in the hallway, but not only that.
It wasn't a rip. It was, they took off linoleum. There was a piece this big.
Okay, it wasn't a rip, it was a gouge. And then when I'm down there on the floor and I look sideways, I'm looking at the step that goes to sit on the toilet, and the linoleum is all lifting and it's all yellowed, so they didn't even try to make the linoleum nice. Yeah. But not only that, we had a soft spot in the back on the bedroom floor. There was definitely some water intrusion. Okay, so we're in the back bedroom over here, and earlier this morning, Pierre and I found moisture readings here on the floor, where I did end up Skyping with the customer. I should say we ended up Skyping. You can see this movement. This is a big soft spot right there. Not only is it soft there, but it's also soft on the wall. So let me come back here and be able to show you this. You see that? You see the wall moving? That's soft. High moisture readings here in the wall, in the bedroom. So let's talk about the floors. So when we come over here, exiting the bedroom, as you can see, we have a rip in the linoleum right here. But not only that, coming into the bathroom, do you see the difference in the color of the linoleum where the toilet is sitting? It's more of a yellowish, and also everything is lifting here. Remember guys, this is a 2021, and it's quite obvious they've done some renovations with paint and that sort of thing.
And from life safety issues, from propane leak that failed, so there is an issue there. So this is just a bomb, will happen at one point in time. From hot skin to LP testing, the other thing that I had is smoke detectors in there. And that's not even 5 years old. Smoke detectors with no battery. So you think there was a problem with a smoke detector probably, and probably the LP detector as well. So just unplug it, because that's, it's annoying.
Could that be the fumes from all the paint? Kidding. I mean, when I can just think about the paint that was in there, yes, for me, I like things to be nice. But when I opened up the cupboards and all the paint drips were on the inside, they were all over the couch. There was nice furniture, actually, but the paint is all over the furniture. What were you thinking?
So no record of maintenance. And just remember, if you're gonna purchase looking at least try to know what's the maintenance that's been done. Zippo, zero, nothing. So don't know when the last fuel filter, oil filter, whenever the oil was changed, or nothing.
But that also, a good point to that is you should be actually checking the VIN on any unit you're about to purchase. You need to pull the VIN.
So I just want to send this for anyone who's thinking about using the Blue Ox team, because if you are thinking about RV inspection and are on the fence, don't be. Like, yeah, you might find an RV that you like. Yeah, the dealer may be telling you one story, but I just got a report from the Blue Ox team and was completely fundamentally blown away by the depth of detail. And this is ass covering detail that saved me from buying a money pit, because the sellers were telling me one thing, they had told me about inspections they'd already had, and I can tell that the previous inspectors had not looked at the detail like these guys did. And there was just so much to be grateful for, because it's one thing if you want to buy a project and deal with the project, but it's another thing if you want to buy something that's safe, reliable, and going to be there for the journey and the adventure. So if you want a project, great, you know the projects you need to tackle, right? And you can quantify them in thorough detail, not just being surprised by like, oh crap, another thing. Because let's face it, in the world of RV, there is always something. But the reality is, if you want an inspection that gives you peace of mind, that helps you understand the facts, and helps you justify or understand some of the details as to what may have happened or what may have been hidden from you. Because it's easy for people to hide things from you or not tell you, and I am just eternally grateful for the sheer honesty and depth of detail that these guys go into generating an inspection report. So if you need an inspection report, I can't recommend this team highly enough. And if you're on the fence, get off the bloody fence, pull the trigger. This is the team you want to help you cover your assets. I can promise you, it's going to be something that's going to be well worth your time. Even when they sent me the report and had all the details, I was kind of grateful, because I'm like, it just showed me everything I didn't even know to even be asking questions about. And that's priceless, absolutely priceless. So what I've paid them to do an inspection report is nothing, because I know from some of the repairs, I would have been well over $20,000 in repairs. And that's not the shit I want to be dealing with.
So as the day went on, even when we started, I tried to turn the inverter on, and that's right by the door side, and I can't turn the inverter on. Okay, well, maybe there's something. There might be another switch somewhere. So, you know, I do my typical turn. All of a sudden, I go out, Laurel shuts the door behind me. She says, every light shut off. Okay, so I go back in, open the door, every light come back on. Well, the main switch that's on the right hand side, the opening door, is actually going on and off if you close the door too loud. So you gotta be nice with the door. You will even when? This was a disaster, big time, as you can witness.
So let's tell you about that 2017 Tiffin Allegro Red 38 QRA.
For all the people that are excited by the, oh, I've got a red, or drink the juice of Allegro, bus or red, you know what red stands for? Rear engine diesel. So on a more serious note, there was a lot of sealant missing on there. I remember when we got in there, there was a lot of problem that was kind of obvious. Is that the one that had the joint, the guy who smoked the joint that was in that TV
In the
rack?
TV?
Yeah, that was him. So that
I
should
don't
have,
think he was taking care of the outside or the inside because he was higher than a kite.
he didn't have a clue what was going on. I don't even know if he knows he sold his unit. Well, he didn't sell it to this customer of ours. That is a definite. From noises that was out of this world when she'd pushed a button to try to get those inside, from the frame wall that was moving, from new floor in the bedroom. It smelled like shit downstairs when I opened up the door. Something happened there, from the AC in the front not working into the truck area. In the back of the wheel, and I don't know if we put that in the video, I got a new air dryer. And that air dryer is located behind the wheel, the rear wheel setup on the street side. Why do you have a new air dryer system after 7,500 miles or something like this? Something was hit there. So you probably backed up into something or rip it off. Something major happened there. There was a lot of issues.
When you say that, and then you're saying about having to have a new floor, so more than likely the floor got cracked if it hit something. So it's making me remember that the bathroom wall completely, I mean,
Yeah.
I could just move that bathroom wall. And not only that, the outside wall in the hall, outside of the bathroom, it was cracked all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. This wall is the outside of the bathroom. And right here, it's nice and flat. You can see it's flat. But as I go down this wall, it starts to curve and round in. And this is cracked and bumped. And it gets worse as we go down the wall. And we get to the bottom, and then we have a crack right here. So I'm not sure what happened there. So something that's kind of like, well, those are telltale signs.
So even your rear toilet was not anchored. If you recall, as you see in the video, she could move that. She could have probably brought it. Instead of having the driver's seat, we could have used the toilet for driving.
If you like videos like this, please hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and leave us a comment. If you don't know what to comment, C4BO, comment 4 Blue Ox. So while we're talking about Tiffins, let's talk about that 2015 Tiffin Allegro Bus 37 PA.
A special owner spent the day with us. We couldn't touch nothing. I was trying to escape from him to make sure I can test whatever I wanted to test.
So I was basically keeping him inside so that Pierre could work outside and vice versa. I couldn't start the microwave. I couldn't start the dishwasher. I couldn't start nothing.
She wasn't allowed to push on the button for the slide out.
Well, I might
Seriously.
not know how to push the button of the slide out.
Well, what the hell do you know?
Right? I'm just a girl. I don't know. I don't even know how to run the microwave. So it's a good thing he was there.
But I'm there. So I'm the inspector, and I'm gonna boil water in the microwave because I'm gonna show you how it works. But
Well,
seriously,
Yeah, no, he really was honest all day long.
it was ridiculous.
You know, at the same time, he was really nice, and I completely understand. He babied this RV. He had taken well care of this RV, and he wanted it to go to the new owner how he was leaving it. And he didn't want to take chances that some numbnut like him and I went in there and broke something.
In the whole unit, which I understand, I liked how he approached it, and as a buyer, I would say, oh, I'm interested. You might recognize yourself. Oh, this guy is so anal, he's taking care of everything. Trust me, he's so anal, I couldn't even push the button. That means absolutely nothing. And this is another guy from the aircraft industry, I'm just saying. But if you recall in this video, and you're gonna see it, if you didn't, the 4 slide out all required adjustment. One of the slide out was scuffed from underneath. It's those seamless slide out, which I have fiberglass gone there. This is gonna be fixed again.
It was pretty gouged.
It was pretty bad, and all of them were. So it's like, okay, don't trust this, oh, the guy is anal. I don't give a crap what it is. It doesn't mean that you know what you're looking for and you know what you don't know. I couldn't even test a transfer switch. Which, to his point, I understand that if you try the transfer switch and the transfer switch doesn't work, you actually you have a chance to blow the inside box on there, because now you're going to overcharge the system. Okay, he makes me think, so every time I try this can happen to me. Well, yeah, but that's the point of the transfer switch. We got to try if it works, so it actually works, this disjunction. Well, I cannot force him to allow me to. So that was my biggest problem. And I remember the customer and I, Rich, we talked about this, and it was like, okay, well, you didn't test it. No, and I wrote, I didn't inspect it, and here's my reason, because the seller didn't want me to. If that's a deal breaker, well, just say, hey, I'm not buying your rig if you don't want me to test system. That would have been a point too.
The beauty of this particular rig, we were able to deliver it for our customer, Rich, from where we inspected it to the west coast of Florida. And I was able to work sitting in his booth dinette, looking directly out the windows, making sure Pierre was keeping everything between the lines. But it was a comfortable ride. So Melissa, we're happy for you, because if you're working back there, you're going to be happy with your ride. So let's talk about that 2016 Newmar Dutch Star 4369.
The mothership of Newmar, 4369, used to be, I think, 60 or 70% of their sales back in those days, probably. Now it's a little bit lower, but it's still their top sales RV. The overall look, if you recall, that was another pilot that wanted to know details, and he was adamant about everything. So for me, from the mechanical side, the only thing that I recall having, other than the life safety, which was with the windshield was already broken, which was in the amber side of the windshield, which you couldn't really see from anywhere from inside or the outside unless you go right in front of it. My drive shaft in the back of the engine that I had access to it. Mark actually called us probably a month later when we were done the inspection. He says, Pierre, thank you for letting me know this. $4,300 that it cost them to fix this, and they did. Overall, for me, there was a lot of little details, but from what I recall, they fixed everything. Mark was happy like a pig. And
he did his research, just like Jeff. He did his research. He used his CRL list, that create repair list, which is at a push of the button for any of you who actually hire us to do your inspection. Literally draws all the issues out of your report into one PDF, and he utilized that and made sure that he knew exactly what everything was going to cost, and he got everything fixed. And he's a happy camper.
From the cab AC that didn't work to hydraulic fluid that was leaking inside of the storage bay, if you remember, when a little hydraulic hose was dripping right in the storage. Little details like this that you got to look at, little details that you got to find, and that's what we do for a living. For people who still wonder, what those two clowns do on video? They just talk about RV.
Last but not least, you know how much I love to fly. We flew to Denver to do a 2023 Newmar Dutch Star 4071. As much as it's beautiful flying into Denver, I'm really happy once my feet are on the floor.
So the story on this unit became a big story as well when we ended up at Newmar. To our surprise, all the findings that we had on those, from those wheels that were, the rollers of one of the slide out didn't have a track to go down, to the ceiling inside, the trim going up to the ceiling and rubbing on the ceiling.
The whole entire slide was lifting the ceiling as it was coming in.
When you have to hold the ceiling, look at this. This thing is holding the ceiling. Okay, let's buy this, let's pay $500,000, and let's just cut this trim because, well, it's in the way. Retail $675, she says. So you can see that everything's been working here, you know, whatever it is. So here it even, see, when we started this morning, it was just here. Now it's starting to be here as well. So yeah, I'm not excited about this unit, but hey, that's me. It's just a statement. So Newmar knew and saw this video, and there was also a store, and they were okay with that. And that's why when we walked into Newmar, somebody came up to us and said, oh, I'd like to meet you. And there's a story to that. One of these days you'll see those videos. It turned out to be nice, really nice. So the story about this unit as well was that the seller already skipped a couple of units, if you remember, and he couldn't get to find the unit he wanted to, and then all of a sudden it was sold underneath him, and then it ended up being in Denver. So we end up in Denver, and even in Denver, he had to call and say, "You're sure we're okay with the inspection team being there? They're going to be there on Monday." "Yes, they are. It's fine, no problem. But can I ask who's coming?" And Gary was kind of afraid of saying it. He was uncomfortable, and finally he told him. And he says, "Oh, okay, hold on a minute." He says, "Why does it matter who's coming? It's an inspector, and you said there's no problem." "Well, let me just check with my sales manager." And Gary's stating again, "What does that matter?" So that was a funny story, and the sales manager came to see us on site, and we had a good time with that person too. He was a nice person. He says, "Yeah, we know who you are, we know where you come from, but you don't bash the dealership, so we were okay with you coming up here." So how it turned out when they're done with the dealership, we actually don't know. I don't know how it turned out, and if they served him right, they did everything, or if he was sent to Indiana, to Napanee, to be served at the mother house, I don't know. But we got no reason to put that dealership down. They do what they have to do, and they were nice to us and to the customer, so I'm happy with that.
We have no reason to put any dealership down. That's not what we do.
Well, that's not what we do. We could, but that's not what we do. We leave that to other people.
I remember that I had this loose trim. When I come in and I can take my finger and barely touch the little end table right behind the passenger seat, and the whole trim is wiggling, like, geez, how in the world did that get through QC? But it did. So remember, and do never forget,